Hey, hey, hey. What's up, guys? We're live. I think I'm getting set up here. Let me see if anyone is actually on there. You know what? I should post this link as well. If anybody's out there, let me know that the audio's coming through. I got to get a couple cameras set up. I wanted to show you guys Sorcery Magic VIP-ness. We got a new video from Dave Sheedy that's popping up on YouTube. I want to get a couple cameras set up and show you guys some stuff that just came in, which is pretty exciting. So what I need to do is share this link. I probably should have. All right, what's up, Spittler? It's 3 o'clock on a Friday. It's like prime time when people don't work. So, all right, we got that rolling. I should have posted the link in the Discord, so let me do that. Or if anybody is in the Discord, I was actually just getting porn spam botted. So there's a notification firestorm going on. All right, hang on. All right, so we got the link fired up here. We'll get the overhead cam going. We got the Friday Ditch Club. Yeah, I'm off today. The wife's out of town. The baby's sleeping. I think I got like an hour. Got to get the kids off the bus. So let me go into official Discord and go to, where is official Discord? The content channel? I'll share it there too in case anybody wants to come hang out. All right. So let's get the, hey, Elvira, what's going on? All right, let's get the, I saw Elvira's poll in the Patreon. So she's got some exciting news about artist proofs. If you guys are in Elvira's Patreon, go vote on opportunities to receive artist proofs. And let me see if I get this camera wired up. Come on now. There we go. All right. All right. We're good. Snagged a Bear Jr. print yesterday. Nice. Yeah, the prints are incredible. So let me go to the camera. All right, there we go. All right, so we got the Dylan Mako playmat. I think I shared this on Facebook and I think in Discord as well. A lot of you guys on Discord are not on Facebook. So this was like a pretty sweet artwork. I think I forget how I discovered him. I think he came into like the Sorcery community Facebook group. And I don't know. Somehow I just started like seeing his work, and I thought it was pretty cool. And this particular piece was pretty awesome. It seems like very on theme for Sorcery. It's like a landscape format style painting. And I was at the IX art show. I saw it. I remember seeing it before I went to the IX art show. Maybe it was just in the online gallery. And speaking of which, congratulations to Elvira. She was accepted to be in the main show this year. So she will be there in October, sometime around like third week of October, I think, 20 something. If you remember the dates, you could put it in chat. But I saw some of Dylan's work. He attended last year, and then when I went in person, I saw this painting, and it was really cool. It was kind of like landscape format like this with this big dragon and this kind of scene in the front. It's a little hard to see. All right, 23rd to 25th, perfect. So it has like this really cool foreground here, which would be cool. Like I kind of made a mock-up Sorcery text box with the game mechanic and the title, and it works like perfectly well with the title like coming across up here. It probably would have chopped off the dragon's head, although there might be more to the actual painting beyond the playmat here, and then the text box like fits perfectly there. But anyway, it has these like wizards and dragons. That's kind of like what fantasy art is often about. You see a lot of that, and it would be cool for Arthurian or something like that. I don't think we're obviously not going to see him in Arthurian, but he's a pretty awesome artist, and he has a bunch of good stuff. So, all right, so there's that. Where did I put? Well, since Elvira's on, let's look at, I never thought I would see this painting again. So in the early days, stop talking about Elvira. We got to talk about you one more time. Because in the early days, when we sold your initial like wave of paintings from Alpha, I forget why. So this one you hadn't sold yet, and it's upside down. But we auctioned this one, so you very generously. For those joining, we're talking about Elvira here, and she's in the chat, so she's probably highly embarrassed. But we sold several of her like initial paintings, but then she had a few more, and very generously offered the Elementalist avatar, which is like a huge favorite that everybody loves. And I think that was like her biggest sale early on. It was very successful, and it was she donated it to charity. So it was a very nice gesture, and it sold for a good amount. And then we decided to auction some other pieces, and this was one that was auctioned a while back. I think it was around like $4,000, so it did like pretty well for the time, I guess I would say. But you know, valuations of painting have gone up quite a bit since. And it was purchased by a person in Europe. So, you know, I shipped it off and I was like, that's it. I'll probably never see it again, right? Because, like, oftentimes it falls into a collector's hands and they love it. Why am I so big on camera? Let me do a little switch. You don't need to hear me, see me as I'm talking. So, yeah, we auctioned it off. I shipped it off to Europe, and I figured that was the end of it. I'll never see it again. I'll see a nice picture. He actually did get this framed. But then he has to let it go, unfortunately, and he hates to let it go. He had to sell a couple last year, a couple of Modesty pieces, so I ended up acquiring those, but he really wanted to keep this one. So he was holding off as long as he could, and you know, some things have come up, so he has to let it go. People sell for all kinds of reasons. So it's going to be offered again through auction. And, you know, against all the odds, it ended up coming back. And it's a very significant piece because it is a unique from the alpha set. And so when I shipped it off, it was just on this art paper, and I very securely shipped it, maybe like on these very hard boards and some other packing to make sure it's very secure. So it's coming back now on this hard board because he had it framed. So he took it back to the framer, and he had him remove the frame because typically you don't want to ship with glass. It's pretty risky to ship a framed piece with glass. If the glass shatters, it could damage the piece. So he took it back to the framer, and he had that removed. So now we have it. It might just be laying on a piece of hardboard and not mounted to the board. I actually have not opened it yet, so you guys are getting a real deal experience in real time. Of course, I've seen it before when I sent it off last year, and now I get to see it one more time before it's offered. I'm not sure if it'll either go up this Sunday night for like a longer term Sunday to Friday type extended period. Let me know in the comments if you guys have any preference that might be interested in this piece, because it's kind of like, hang on, probably getting a lot of background noise. Like with a high-end piece like this, it's going to be pretty valuable. So I don't know if it's better to give people like a week. You know, you might want to sell some of your booster boxes from Alpha. Sometimes people like to move stuff around and reallocate into other stuff. So sometimes an extra week can help with getting it listed and raising cash. So either this week or next week, but I'll give that some thought. But here it is. And wow, this really pops. So I forget like how vibrant this is, and I wonder if he got another acrylic coat on this. Maybe Elvira remembers. I'm sure she spent a lot of time on this piece. So there's a lot of detail, and like I have some of her sketches. I don't have the sketches for this one. I did a behind the art article. Of course, this is the Immortal Throne. It's a really iconic piece because it's a unique rarity. There's only, is it 67 or 68 uniques? I want to say there's 67 uniques in Alpha. Or was it 68 and it went to 67 when they removed the Eric's Curiosa? I'm going to look it up really quick. Let's go to, I'm going to show this again, but let's go to the website view. And I thought I heard the door. You know what? I gotta be on high alert because I think there's a delivery coming. So let's go to Collector Arthouse. Oh, Dylan, what's up, man? Yeah, I was just talking about you and your playmat. It's freaking awesome. Great painting. All right, so Collector's Corner, if you go to Alpha set data, I got all the data here. So for Alpha, there were 67 uniques. So this painting is one of 67. And let's take a look at the card. Let's go to actually, where do I want to go? Sorcery behind the art. And then on the main page, if I go down, I know I did one on Immortal Throne. Here it is. So let's see. Maybe let's go back one screen so you can see the card a little larger. Oh. Of course, it scrolls up to the top. All right. So the Immortal Throne, 5 to cast, a unique relic and monument to Eternal Rule. And this is the only card in Alpha that has an alternate win condition. So obviously, like the way the game is played, you got to get the opposing avatar down to 0 life. They go on Death Door, and then you pop them again through damage, and then you win the game. However, read how this card works. It says, whenever anyone plays a card with cost equal to this throne's level, you draw a card, and this gains a level. When this hits level 7, the first avatar that sits alone, it's kind of small, on this throne wins the game. So let's see. Whenever anyone plays a card, so you play a card equal to the cost of the throne, which is a cost of 5, and then you draw a card, and then this gains a level. So each time you play a card that costs 5, it levels up. And then once you get to level 7, you win the game. So it's the only alternate win condition where you could win without getting your opponent down to 0 life. And that's what makes it like it's a unique, and then it's unique in how it works in the alpha debut. It's the only card that works like that. It's the only way to win outside of destroying the life of your opponent. So super cool. There's actually a guy, Jeff Rosado, who designed this deck in a way where he can kill you in one turn. And he does it through, I think he uses like a mana acceleration technique with the Philosopher's Stone, and I forget if he was using the mixes or the cores. But he uses like, so it's multi-element, it's a multi-element deck, and he figured out this way where you could basically proc the 7 levels all in one turn once you have enough resources in play. So I guess he draws into his cards, he cycles them a lot with the draw effect of this Immortal Throne, and he ends up leveling it up 7 times and killing his opponent all in one turn, which is pretty insane. I know there was like some back and forth with the company on the ruling, because part of the way he pulls that off is he is summoning like minions from the dead, and there was some debate as to whether when you summon a minion from the dead, like the undead, does that count as playing a card? Others said like, no, playing a card means you're physically expending the 5 casting cost. Summoning is not playing. So there's some debate over that. It requires the summoning play to be one of the leveling techniques. So a bit complex, but it's a really cool deck. He's bringing it to, oh man, I wish I could remember. He's going to one of the qualifiers really soon. It might be, is it this weekend? It might be this weekend. It's not the Jesse event that's going down in Australia, but he's going to an event like in the near term. I want to say it might be the one in Connecticut, the Unison Games Cafe. I forget if it's this weekend or not, but he's going to be competing there, hopefully winning a spot to go to the Baltimore event on June 14, 15, and 16. The 15th and the 16th are the days the games are played. But what I want to do is go into this article, and Elvira gave me some insights here about some of the art direction she got from Eric. So I won't read it all. You guys can go and read this afterward. It seemed to be like some confusion over the art direction, so she did a couple of her thumbnail sketches like she usually does, and then Eric kind of like elaborated that he wanted this iconic like throne sitting upon this precipice like you see in the artwork. So you see kind of how it evolved pretty significantly from the early concept into this elaborate throne, this cavernous throne vibe. So let me now remove that, and we can get another better look at it. So there it is. The beautiful throne. It's got this great pinkish color, and then I wish the lighting's never perfect when I do the overhead cam. That's one of the unfortunate things, but it's got this really nice effect with this yellow glow illuminating the throne. And the way the card works is, again, you level up, you trigger it, you proc it 7 times, and you kind of ascend to the top of the throne. And the way the card reads is you assume the position on the throne, and then you are the winner. So, real epic painting. So it's actually not mounted on this board. It's on art paper. and signed by Elvira down here on the lower right. And that is the original painting for the unique rarity Immortal Throne. So that'll be offered through auction at the Sorcery Contested Realm community Facebook group and the Collector Arthouse Discord, as we always do. And you know what? I forgot to link it in this video description this time. But you can go to any of my videos and find my link tree for Collector Arthouse and find all of the different links to the different things going on for the Discord, the Facebook groups that I've set up and stuff like that. So really awesome painting. That's that one. I'm going to put this, where should I put this? Let me put it up top where the kids can't get at it. All right. So you see I have my Gadu back there. All right. So the other thing I wanted to show you guys before talking about the latest news. So the Gadu painting, I usually have my Gadu painting sitting right there, right? And it's actually behind the shelf, if you could see. If you see through the shelf, it's weird. I got a shelf sitting on a table because I had some like various display pieces there. And I actually went to the frame store. When was it? Earlier this week. It's Friday. It feels like the weekend already. Earlier this week, I went to the frame shop and I brought in like almost all of my paintings. Oh, Daniel Culpepper, what's up, dude? Stop Gans, Sean. I guess I didn't say hello to everybody. 111 Wound, Zonami, Corvo Atano. Some of these names look like Filthy Casual. What's up? I don't recognize some of you guys, but I do recognize a lot of you. I'm at. We saw Spiller comment early, Shadow Cloud, Elvira. So I went to the frame shop and I brought like a bunch of paintings, and like I'm very indecisive. I've had like extreme anxiety about getting these paintings framed because I want it to be really special and perfect, and I've been very fortunate to acquire several of them. And now with this, I created a problem for myself, a beautiful problem with this massive Gadu painting. So it's 3 feet wide by 4 feet tall. It's like taller than my kids. And, you know, this is just like a normal average room here. So it takes up like almost all, like a good portion of the wall. I could probably fit some paintings around it. But I'm definitely going to have to use the other walls in this room and be selective about the real estate to kind of select what's going to be my background on this wall right here, right? So that's the Gadu behind the shelf, and it's tucked behind the shelf because I did not mount it yet until I get the other paintings framed, and I need to protect it from the kids. So every time I do a video, I slide it out from the shelf, I slide the shelf back, and I prop it up there. But I'm on borrowed time here today with the kids sleeping, so I didn't do that. All right, so that's the story on the Gadu. We're going to go to the overhead cam. There's Dylan's painting with the dragon. Let me get the dragon in there so this doesn't, we're not looking at the chest of a dragon the whole time. That looks pretty awesome. All right, so Andrea Modesti, you guys know I love Andrea's work. He's a really great artist. I just love his style. Actually, this is pretty fascinating. I'm so thankful and fortunate to own these 4 original paintings from Andrea Modesti: the Monks, the Spear of Destiny, the Highland Falconer, and the Humble Village. So I was able to reach out to Andrea. He has some special, I guess, circumstances in the province of Pavia where he lives in Italy. So there's like a thing with him where he doesn't sell stuff regularly. He needs to like time it, I guess, for tax reasons or whatever the case may be. It's not exactly clear to me, but there's fleeting opportunities to get his paintings, and what we're going to see here is some artist proofs, which I've seen the pictures for, but I did not open the package. It just arrived yesterday, and I wanted to kind of do a shared experience with you guys here and do it in a live stream if I were able to get on camera. So, oh, it did it. What's up, man? He says, oh, man, Mike, paintings behind the shelf. These guys are always busting my chops about the lack of framing and displaying. Oh, what's up, Daniel? Thanks for joining. Yeah, so I was able to get these artist proofs done by Andrea. There's actually one more in my binder, and I forget. I think I bought a painting from him. So I have the 4 paintings, as I mentioned, and there's one other that I haven't revealed. I'm kind of holding out on that one. And I think when I acquired that latest one, he very nicely sent me a artist proof of the Highland Falconer, and it's like a detailed ink sketch. It's not a color sketch, but it's really beautifully done, really nice. I think I might have shown it in a prior live, but these are painted proofs, and this is one of my very favorite artworks in the game. There's a few paintings that, like, when I saw them, I reached out to the artist immediately and inquired about the availability, and I knew they just spoke to me on some level. You know, like, I'm not like super religious and, you know, the monk. I don't know what it is about this one. This just had like this throwback vibe that I thought was so cool and like so different from the other Modestis. You know, he has a lot of scenic things like this where like the dress of the soldiers and stuff are very ornate and beautiful, and the scenery. He draws inspiration from the Alps, you know, where he is in Italy, and Pavia and this part of Italy that he's in. And, you know, the humble village is another example of that. But when I saw the monks, it was just so different and striking, and it really gave me that throwback nostalgia type feeling, right? And I like to acquire paintings that mean something to me on a personal level. It doesn't really matter so much what their rarity is, or, you know, like some of these I got well before I even knew what the gameplay mechanic was, or if it would even be in alpha at all or used in the game at all. And you know, I just loved it for what it was, and I knew that I was going to enjoy displaying it. So Candlemas Monks is an example of that. So this is one that I jumped on immediately, the original painting, and and here we're going to see I probably should have had some sleeves ready or something. We're going to see a beautiful painting that he did on the back of this Candlemas Monks. And there it is. The 2 of 25, guys. Somebody beat me to the 1 of 25. Who did that? Who did that? I think it might be the guy that I bought a couple Andreas from, a guy in Europe that beat me to the punch. I didn't know Andrea was able to had the time to do these, but this is like a really cool painting. I love the focus. You know, the two key elements. I was at the frame shop earlier this week, and I said this is called the Candlemas Monks. So I didn't get this one framed this time because I was running out of time and I didn't want to rush it. There was like I didn't want to little mark on there. I think that's his signature coming through. So I didn't want to like rush the painting because I said there's two elements to this piece. Candlemas, so I want to have like a matting that accentuates the candle color, like the yellow or orangish hue, and then the monks, which is like their wardrobe, their robe. You know, so probably like some aspect of orangish yellow, maybe to emphasize the moon, which really kind of stands out in this piece, and the candle like effect, and then the robe of the monks, Candlemas Monks. So, you know, I was mix matching a couple colors and it just wasn't working out for me. But then I love how he did this artist proof because what does it emphasize? The robe, the monk, you know, the candle, and the beautiful moon. And the color choice he made there against kind of like a neutral backdrop setting, which really makes the moon pop and illuminates the guy's robe, both the moon and the candle, or maybe just the candle, I don't know, depending on your interpretation, but freaking awesome. I really like that. Actually, so I'll just put it back in the sleeve. I think he said he was going to put these, this is interesting, he put like a little matted acid-free paper he told me he was going to put in these. So I'll just slide that back in a penny sleeve for now. It's fully dried and everything. That's no problem. People ask all the time, can you put it into a top loader or like in a binder? Are you going to have any problems? And no, I don't think so. All right, so next up, the Humble Village. So the Humble Village, I think, is this the first one? I think I bought the Candlemas Monks first. That one really jumped out to me. And then somehow he still had these villages left. And I was like, oh man. So I was really trying to pick which one. I was so tempted to buy like all three. And I was like, nah, I won't be like a greed monster. And like, I wanted to, you know, not buy all from one artist. I want to have a variety of art because I really love a lot of the art and the different artists across the game. So I settled on the Humble Village. I thought was one that I really enjoyed. Oh! Just slid off the desk. Jumped right out of my hand. Man. So the Humble Village was one that really struck me. So I have this original, and let's take a look here. There we have it. This is the 1 of 25. So that's pretty cool. It's the first one he did, focusing in on one of the humble villages. And I think so. I did a few features with Andrea. I did a written Q&A interview with him. You guys can check it out on collectorarthouse.com. He's such an awesome guy, like really humble, real nice. Seems like he just lives out there in the country in Italy and just paints. You know, he just loves painting. He's a purist of painting, and that's what he does. Just has a simple life and just paints. And he said I want to say he drew inspiration from some scene out there in the Alps, right, in the background, and they have like villages like this, like little huts and stuff. So that's kind of like the reference for that. So that's the humble village. It's a big card because it's one of the staple basic Atlas land sites in the Alpha debut. And these artist proof are great collectibles because there's only 25 of them that were given out across to the artists, and then 4 sets across the Kickstarter backers. So 29 copies out there in the public. I don't know if Eric has a set or not. I imagine he probably kept one for himself. But I don't know that to be a fact or if any other employees have it. So we know of 29 out there in Gen Pop, as I say, the general public. All right, so the Highland Falconer is one that he sold to somebody else, and I was able to acquire by good fortune. Someone reached out to me, and again, he had to sell, and I was like, you know what? He had the Spear of Destiny and the Highland Falconer. I was so lucky. And I was like, oh man, they're both great. I was like, I really love the spear though. It's just so iconic, and like I love the real life history of this. I have a behind the art feature on this one as well. And I was like, I gotta have the spear. I don't know if I could afford both or if I'll keep both. Maybe I'll tell you what, I'll buy both and I'll definitely keep the spear, and then maybe I'll risk it and I'll auction the Falconer. Maybe I'll make some of the money back and help you out, or do well or not. But then it showed up and it was like so freaking awesome, the original painting, that I was like, yep, I'm keeping that one. So usually, like, if someone like approaches me and wants me to do a consignment sale, or if I'm selling on behalf of the artist, they want to sell it, right? And they want to like auction it and do as well as they can with it. So I don't buy it myself. I always offer it. This was a different case where I was being offered to like buy it from this person. So I straight up bought it, and then I was just trying to debate whether I wanted to recoup the cost or keep it. And I decided to keep it, and I'm glad I did because the painting looks amazing. I'll show you guys when it's back from framing, I'm sure. I got a nice walnut frame that beautifully matches this one and the Spear of Destiny. Just no matting, right up against the side. The walnut brown wood matches perfectly against the greens, especially with the Spear of Destiny. But enough blabbing. Here's the Highland Falconer. It says, beautiful falcon. I told you he sent me, oh man, I have to go through emails to kind of see what kind of bird he told me this was. Because he did a different one on the detailed ink sketch, and he told me what the type of this one is. I don't know if you guys know. The Humbled Village. Yeah, thankfully it landed just fine under my desk and didn't like bang things on the way down. But this is a 4 of 5, so... Did he send me the ink sketch one? Might have been the 1 of 25. This is the 4 of 25. So maybe he sold 2 others. I think the guy I bought the painting from, he might have had a copy of that. He might have also beat me to the Spear of Destiny. Not that the number really matters. I mean, it's a cool, what do you call it? Like a novelty to have the first ever done, right? The 1 of 25, or maybe the 25 of 25, the last one in theory that they would have ever done, is kind of cool and sometimes carries a premium. But at the end of the day, it's about the art. You love the hand painted art. It's a miniature painting on a card, which is significant and very special. All right, so here we have the Spear of Destiny, which is a big one. It's a unique. It's just a card that has a lot of history. Like, as the story goes, as I understand it, and I think there might be different versions, they say that when they crucified Jesus, there was a blind man that like stabs Jesus with the spear, which they end up calling the Spear of Destiny, because as I almost said as legend has it, I don't know what the right terminology is, but as the story goes, he stabbed Jesus, the blood spurted from his body, and it sprayed this blind man in the eyes, and it cured him of his blindness. So that's why they call it the Spear of Destiny. So it's got a lot of like rich history in the lore, and there's like all this stuff about like Hitler. I think there's some like Hitler aspect to it, or maybe it was I don't know, like one of his aides or something was obsessed with this, and there's stories about how there was one version that maybe he acquired, and then there was like people didn't know if that was the real Spear of Destiny, and there was this other one that was kind of like in a museum or something. I'm probably butchering it. There's these YouTube videos on it. There was some conjecture over which one was the actual Spear of Destiny, if you believe in kind of like Christianity and the history of that story. But here you have the Spear of Destiny. Yeah, Himmler is what it was. And here it is, guys. Look at this Spear of Destiny, the 2 of 25. This is so awesome. This like color splash of this vibrant yellow against the green. Oh man. Yeah, this is awesome. YouTube video, gotta be legit. That's right, Spiller. Look at this Spear of Destiny. I do all my research on YouTube. That's where the single source of truth is, guys. So look at the Modesty, 2 of 25, Spear of Destiny. Super awesome. The one the other guy got, he showed me too. And he got a really great one as well. Andrea's got some great ideas. That's the beauty of artist proofs, you know. You get to reimagine and re-envision these artworks all over again. So here's a really big one, this step card. It's like a expensive dual land, I think one of the more expensive ones in beta, because for whatever reason it seems to be a very hard pull in beta, they say, in foil. I don't know. And then there's also like Earth and Fire is like a hot combo right now, so it's a pretty meta relevant card. And this one's pretty cool too, because it has like a different sunset type vibe to it, whereas his other villages, his other 2 villages, the Rustic Village and the Humble Village, have like a day scene type vibe, right? So it's pretty distinctly different. And I think he sold that painting. So this is another great artist proof. And this is for my personal collection, guys. So I won't be offering this one for auction. I like to collect myself as well. Paintings and artist proofs when I can. So I also have these wonderful sketches from Andrea of a few of his pieces of the paintings that I purchased and that I own. And I think I might bring those to the Sorcery Spring Social event in my art portfolio. I think it's the one sitting up there on top of the shelf where my finger is. A little stretch right there. So I might bring those to show you guys who are able to attend in person. So here's the Step Dual Land from Andrea. Alpha, artist proof. And kind of like the last one too, a nice colorful scenic vibe. The 2 of 25, someone beat me to this one as well. Very nicely done. I think he said he had to use, I was just talking to someone about this. I think he did use watercolor for his original paintings, but he can't do that on the artist proofs because it'll ruin the cardboard of the card. I guess maybe you could pre-treat it somehow. I think some of the artists were talking about that, but I think he ended up using acrylic paint for these just to make sure he did not damage the cards and warp them. Sometimes they do warp a little bit, you know, just from the paint that it absorbs. But, you know, it's an artist proof. You don't get it, like, graded for grade value. But, yeah, smash the thumbs up, everyone. Hey, Cosmic. Thanks for reminding everybody. I always forget to remind people to like the video after the video is done and gets recorded and posted. Please comment. I guess I heard this guy talking about the Diddy situation. For some reason, that's coming up all over my feed. Freaking terrible thing. But I jumped into this live yesterday where the guy was talking about the Diddy situation. There were like 2,000 people watching. I was like, what the hell's going on here? Does this guy have like the inside scoop and some evidence? And he was saying like there's these thresholds where if you hit like enough likes, he was at like 1,000 likes or something, and he was like, if I get to 2,000 likes, my video will get shared 4,000 more times or something like insane like that. So apparently likes matter. I'm not like a forensic scientist on how the algorithm works, but I always forget to remind people it does help to like and subscribe and share the videos and comment. The comments, I guess, get them to share it more. So House Arn Bannerman, this is one I would have loved to have acquired as well, but this one Eric owns. So Eric like chose some of his favorite pieces I shouldn't say the best. I mean, there's no painting and sorcery that's better than another per se. Every artist style is uniquely distinct and different. So they're all great in their own way, their own unique stylistic way. But this was one of his favorites from Modesti's portfolio. So, fortunately, he didn't take the Spear of Destiny or some of the other ones. The Candlemass Monks, I mean, I'm actually kind of surprised. I talked to Eric about that a long time ago, early on, and he was like, yeah, there's something about that one. It's just different, right? Like, it has that throwback. And I was like, yeah, exactly. So, when I saw it, I just loved it, and I had to have it. But this probably would have been one I would have went for as well. So, let's see. That's the one of 25. Very cool. And so, this one's super colorful. Look at this. The color splash. So similar to the monks, he did this zoomed in view of one of the soldiers here, the bannermen. They're bannermen, so they're carrying the stick with the banner right into the battle, or up on the precipice of the hill, presumably like overseeing the battle scene. This guy's poised to fight, right? And if you look at the foot soldiers, the little foot soldier tokens, it's similar. They're like these guys on the hills in the throes of battle. They're just like the little unassuming little guys on the foot soldiers are super cool. I love those too. So there you go. I guess there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 I was able to acquire, and I was like, hey man, I might come back to you and try to start working towards a full set. I don't know. I'd love to have a full set of them because I really like his style. But yeah, take a look here. We got the Bannerman. It's just so awesome when you fill out a binder with these. You could play with them technically. Typically, people play with altars and not artist proofs, because like altars, like when someone alters the face of a card, they leave the title box and the text, the game mechanic box. So you could play with it no problem. You know the rules. With an artist proof, you flip it over and it's full art. So if you're playing with full art, sure, you could do that, or have like a proxy or like a sideboard, for reference in the early stages here where people might not know what every card does. But otherwise, they're a beautiful collector's item, and it's like they're miniature paintings, so you could build out a whole binder or portfolio of all these small scale paintings, which is like a way to get into art and appreciate and enjoy collecting the art without having to spend, several $1,000s on a large full form original painting. So there you go. The House Arn Bannerman. For those that just joined, the Candlemass Monks, one of my favorites, the Humble Village. Should probably try not to put my thumb over it. The Steppe, Dual Land, Earth and Fire. So you got the earth tones and the reds, and then you have these Highland Falconers are great. He's doing all these variants of falcons from the few I've seen. He's only done a few, as you can see, and then the awesome. Man, this is so great. One of my favorite APs now that I personally own, at least. I've seen so many amazing, great ones from so many artists. But this one is special to me. It's be a special part of my collection. Just the color, the green and the yellow, the history, the story behind the Spear of Destiny is just super cool. All right, so that's the show and tell. I think, let me see. I was going to maybe talk a bit about the update that Simon just did. Let me see. All right, I don't want to show my screen. The Discord. What happened with the Discord, guys? Is it that out of control? Yeah, my Discord was just blown up and bombarded. All right, so let's talk about. Just enjoy. You know what I'll do here. Who else joined us here? We have Filthy Casual, Lizard Wiz. What's up, man? I see you a lot on the Discord, so thank you for popping in. Kevin Fulton, how you doing, buddy? So I got these artist proofs from Andrea Modesti that I was just showing. We got the original painting of the Immortal Throne. It's going to be coming to auction soon. What else is coming soon? I think probably within a few weeks we'll have some artist proofs from Marta Molina, and then later on some altars, and some Elvira Palakowska. I know Vincent Pompetti's working on more. So there'll be more. I like to mix it up with different artists. I think I have one still live right now from Mikhail Nagy-Paul, ends at 8 p.m. Eastern tonight. And I have one last one from Mikhail and a handful from Severin. So, I usually cycle through a few from one artist at a time. We just did the 4 mixes from Elvira. and the Amazon Warriors with the Great Fam concept that she did. So a lot of great stuff. I think we'll have the original painting of the Immortal Throne. What am I forgetting? At the IX Art Show, I'm gonna bring several stuff. I'm gonna bring the dragon that Severin Pinu did, the crystal dragon as we call it, and we did a that glare. We did a Philo Stone embellished print concept with that. I still have 3 of the Pathfinder embellished prints too, if anybody's interested in that. So just a whole lot of stuff going on. So yeah, let's get to the update. Timbo Slice in the flesh. So there was an update. Is Andrea working with you to auction more APs, or should I message him? Well, so Andrea's not on Instagram, to my knowledge. He's very old school. You could try to email him. I have all the artists' contact information on my website. There's a page that's called Sorcery Artist Bios, and if you go there, I've found every artist's info, and I have, if there's a little button, I'll show you guys really quick. There's a little button if I've done an interview with them, and it jumps to the interview page. So that's kind of cool and convenient. Hopefully I updated that, because I was trying to do that as I go. So you got Andrea Modesti here, andreamodesti-art.blogspot.com. That's his website. It's an old school blog website. And if you go to that site, I think there's an email address for him. That's where I've had most success reaching him. So you go through, you got each of the artists, you got a link for their social media, their website if they have one, or their ArtStation portfolio, interviews, that kind of stuff. Yeah, so all the artists there. I think the only one that might be missing is Adam Kaspar, because he was added pretty late. He was like a surprise addition. Oh, hang on, guys. I might have a delivery. Hang on. I think I might have to sign for something. Sit tight. All right, false alarm, false alarm. It was just Amazon. Amazon comes by here almost every freaking day. So yeah, I think I got something coming later. Oh shoot. All right, gotta run some errands. All right, so what was I talking about? Modesti. You go to the website here. You can find all the contact information for the artists. And just go reach out to them, talk to them. A lot of them sell their work direct. Some I work with and auction their work. So yeah, long story short, with Modesti, I'm not auctioning his stuff. I did offer to do that, but as I mentioned early in the stream, if you guys were on, he has some kind of like nuances or peculiarities to with the region he lives in, Italy. Like he can't sell all the time. It seems like he tries to time it quarterly or once per year or something like that. So I'm not sure if he's taking active requests, but by all means reach out to him, see if you can like get on a list or something, express some interest, and yeah, try to acquire some of these beautiful artist proofs from him. Would be great. Always support the artist however you can and enjoy building and growing your collection. So, winded. Just ran up the stairs. Tired old man. I need to sleep more too. So yeah, the update. So Simon did an update, guys. Beta. The beta reprint, right? So there's a lot of controversy, a lot of discussion on Facebook, mixed opinions, videos coming out by a few content creators, kind of summarizing the things that Simon said and different perspectives on what a reprint of beta means. So I don't know, like to me, non-story entirely. I just don't think it matters, because look, there's overwhelming demand for sorcery right now. Massive, massive demand. And then people want to dissect that and be like, oh, well, how many of them are players, or how many of them are genuine collectors, genuinely interested? How many people are flippers because sorcery is early stages and has great value? Whatever the cases may be, we don't have enough data to really dissect those categories of market segment interest. We just know that there's intense, great demand for sorcery. So it's a great problem to have, or a great problem to have, right? However you slice it, it's a great situation for the company. They can't, they can sell as much as they can produce, because here we are, 5 months, they're completely sold out, right? Through their primary distribution strategy of going through a Team Covenant. So, the interesting thing is, it was kind of like some people were applauding the transparency and the insight. And on some level, that's true. I think I commend the company for coming forward and speaking to the public, because there was a lot of like rushing to judgment and conclusions about what this meant with Team Covenant coming out. You know, they're one of their primary partners and distributors, saying that they were out of stock and did not expect a restock. So it begged the question, what does that mean? Are we just going to sit here for 6 months and have no product? What are the implications for players then, for the growth of the game, for stores that want to get more to sell, for some markets that were underserved, things like that. So they came out and they provided some answers to that, or partial answers, right? So they said that they're going to do a, did you say a limited reprint or a small scale reprint, something like that? I think I want to say he might have used the word limited, but it was imprecise, right? It didn't say, he didn't give a number. He didn't say how large the beta print size was. So limited means it's probably, the only thing we could do is make assumptions and speculate and say that probably reasonably means it's some small percentage relative to the print run size of beta. It's not going to be like another major significant, like full up additional wave like you might see in many other TCGs, you know, like Pokemon or Magic, or I don't know, does Flesh and Blood do that too? I mean, a lot of these games print in multiple waves. You don't get it just one time. The distributors get it in stock, they offer it, they either keep some and offer it in phases, or there's multiple printings over the course of the year. And a lot of companies don't even announce when they're out of print either. They just print it and then they'll stop. Like I know, like I remember in the Pokemon scene, these guys would always speculate and say like, oh, it's out of print, and then they'd be surprised at some point, like on a reprint. Or they went back into the last block of cards or the last set several years later when we all thought it was out of print, and then the company imposes like a limitation on themselves when if you declare it's out of print, that's it. You can't reprint. I think it's very clear that Sorcery is taking a more nimble approach, and they probably have some overarching philosophy of how they want to approach this, but I also think they're being reactive on some level, and not necessarily in a negative way. I mean, there's pros and cons to that, but also nimble and flexible as they're kind of feeling out the demand. There's no precise, perfect measure forecasting mechanism to predict what the demand will be, again, across segments, players, stores, all the different market segments. We might got some baby action. So it's a bit of a shot in the dark, and you kind of got to be flexible and respond to the needs of your customer base. And I think that's what they do. They listen to feedback and they respond to that, for better or worse. There's pros and cons to it, right? So limited reprint. I think we got some live action, guys. I might have to grab an iPad. Give me a minute. All right. Babysitter's here. Apple iPad. Generation 2.0. Still works. All right, guys. YouTube kids. Babysitter's here. So reactive, nimble, responding to the consumer base, trying to navigate their way through how you deal with a once per year release cadence. And, there was some commentary from Simon about there was some vagueness about the phasing and timing of this reprint, right? So they said it's kind of two pronged. They're working on getting out an additional small, whatever term they used, limited additional product to certain regional markets that were underserved. So we know that Europe has been starved for product. They had a very short order window, and then so they didn't get like large orders from European distributors early on. So and then the game grew. There was a lot of interest, a lot of demand, and the product wasn't there, and it was expensive to ship from the U.S. So it was difficult for them to acquire. I think they mentioned like Japan and South America, like Brazil, those types of markets, pretty small, and they're growing. So it's good. So they want to get product to them. Japan, was the other one. So they're trying to serve those markets, limited print. So it's going to go to underserved markets. It's not going to, I personally don't think it's going to dilute the market and cause like a big issue. I think as long as there's healthy interest and very strong demand and growth in the game, it's a non-story, really. I have zero concerns personally. It's just how I feel about it. I think it's a great project, very compelling. The art is fantastic. The gameplay is super fun. People love it. The community's rallying these great tournaments and events. We're doing interviews with the artists and all this fun stuff. People are getting together and just enjoying the experience. And more people are getting turned on to it and falling in love with the art, and then falling in love with the game and the gameplay. So all that's very great and healthy. So we don't know the print quantity. That was the first point. The timing, we don't know. He made some kind of said something about infrastructure and logistics. So to me, that means I don't know what it means exactly. I think they're trying to figure out, it could be anything from supply chain, like how do you get product to these local markets? I know with the Kickstarter, they had the benefit of a third party, which I think was a benefit, where they could get to these local distribution hubs and then it would be distributed from there. I don't know if they were using like one mainstream distributor in like Japan, for example, or certain parts of Europe, how that worked exactly. So, I think they're working out things like that. How do you kind of store product or phase it out? They said they're going to move to like a wave system for Arthurian Legends, which is pretty interesting because then you have to work through print timing, and in an environment of intense demand or uncertain demand, that's probably pretty complicated from a business logistics perspective. How do you set up the infrastructure? Are you going to warehouse it and incur the cost to do so? Or can you get on a schedule with the printer and get your distribution worked out to serve those markets regionally? Because all over the world, I mean, some games only launch domestically. I say domestically, like in the United States. This isn't a U.S.-based game technically. It's out of New Zealand where Eric lives. But some will go tackle the U.S., which is always the largest market, and then worry about growth into international markets later. And then it's, there's some benefits to that because you're figuring it out in one regional location instead of immediately compounding that problem and trying to figure out how that works all over the world. So they're grappling with a lot, I think, from a business logistics perspective, and that was something that kind of jumped out to me that maybe wasn't talked about as much in some of the other videos. Just kind of a little nugget when I listened back. What else was there? So then the waves we talked about for Arthurian Legends. He said, they've made statements about early fourth quarter, which would be early October at the very earliest, but he would not commit to a specific date because he said there's a lot of factors. I think some of those factors are the ones I just talked about. Supply chain logistics, distribution. I'm curious in the two-pronged approach with the new additional supply coming on, how does that get distributed? I think he said it was going to be available from distribution, if I'm not mistaken, which typically means in my mind Soho, Southern Hobby, and PhD, and not Team Covenant, but Team Covenant has been their de facto distribution in addition to Soho and PhD and the ones that are used in Europe and Japan, right? So I don't know. Distribution is a generic term. It could be all of those or some subset. We don't know. So he didn't say one way or the other, so we don't know. What else did he talk about, guys? He talked about coming to, I read that as Get the Gabagool. He's gone, so go grab the go grab the Gadu. My interpretation is that the U.S. is getting zero beta reprint. Um, yeah, I don't know. I think they're going to prioritize the underserved markets. Maybe it wasn't exactly clear to me, and I think there was like a two-wave type strategy, is what I kind of gathered from what he said. Hopefully, I got that right. That like they were going to focus on the underserved markets, like Asia, Japan, Europe, and South America. Was it Brazil? And then when they release concurrently with Arthurian Legends or thereabouts, right? When they release their Arthurian Legends, they're also going to release some additional beta product. And I think that additional beta product, not a full up reprint wave, I guess, in their terminology, but a limited reprint, that additional supply will go to stores that are hosting events through their Play Network, the Cardi.io Play Network system. So, some people are chiming in, yet it's kind of like a double-edged sword because product has been hard to get, so it's been hard to incentivize or for stores to have an incentive to host events. Because, if they don't have, typically, if you're a store, think from a store's perspective. If you have product on the shelf, you want to encourage people to come into your store and buy that product. So you want to foster community. You want to get people interested in the game. You want to bring them in. You're motivated to teach them the game, get them excited about the game, to say like, hey, let's have a format where you buy packs. So we make some money when you come in for the tournament. There might be like a play fee, and then you're also paying for some packs to play. And, they're making some money. You're coming in the store, maybe you're buying some singles. But with the stores starved for supply, that incentive is strained, right? Or it's non-existent, perhaps. Unless they go to like creative measures of finding stuff through secondary market channels. They don't have the luxury. Like typically when they buy from mainstream distribution, they're buying at a wholesale type of rate, maybe $80 some or so, and then making, selling, if they're selling at MSRP, they're almost doubling their money on the sale, minus, if there's shipping cost or taxes and sales tax, things like that, right? So it's a pretty healthy margin. If you take that away, if they have to buy at MSRP from Team Covenant, that becomes difficult. The incentive greatly diminishes, and then they're probably, understandably so, maybe like supporting other games instead, where they do have product to offer, Pokemon or One Piece or Magic or whatever, right? Where they have product to sell, and they can, because a store, they have to make money, they have to pay the bills every month, they got to recycle cash, churn product, raise more money to buy the next set release of whatever game. They have mixed customer base, they don't go all in on one game as a store. I stupidly do that if I want to exist long term as like my business aspect of things. It's probably not the smartest thing to do, right? If Sorcery doesn't go to distance, it's the end of me, right? Or unless I fall in love with something else and become passionate about it, or like the art thing transcends beyond just the one game, right? But a typical store is going to diversify and support multiple games, and their customer base is going to demand that, and just like the whole way the business works with uncertainty of how much allocation you're going to get and all these challenges, that's just the nature of the beast. You got to diversify, you got to support multiple games. Your customer and fan base is going to, your customer base is going to want to do that. Different types of people are going to come into the store, and then you might stare them or try to convert them towards one or the other that's more lucrative or that you're more passionate about, but that's generally how those factors come into play. Anger Worm, what's up, dude? He says, it sounds like they wanted to reward U.S. event holders with further access to beta. Yeah, so that's what we were talking about to coincide with Arthurian Legends. So if like the stores, let's think that through. If the near-ish term, I mean, they said they got to work out the logistical supply chain type issues to get them to stores. But they also said they're going to serve the underserved market. So if they prioritize Japan, Europe, South America, how are you going to get tapped into that Play Network to get in on that beta wave that coincides with Arthurian Legends? I think that's, from the store's perspective, what weighs on their mind. If they want to continue to support this game and perpetuate this game in their store to their customers, how are they going to get, what incentive do they have to host events with what product? How are they even going to get product at all? I mean, now it's gone right now. So it's challenging. Like, so how do you earn those points in that priority allocation for when beta comes around? Because you're going to want that. Whereas when people, if people are coming into the game for the first time with Arthurian Legends and you want to deliver that experience to the store, the new experience, you got to either have pre-con decks to get them to do that, and then you're going to want some additional beta allocation so they can build the foundation of their decks and then supplement with the Arthurian set, unless Arthurian is standalone and you truly don't need any beta. That's yet to be seen. We don't know. So I think I got a few more minutes. I might have to pick up the kid at the old bus stop. I'm gonna check my alarm cycle. The wife had me check the alarms. Yeah, guys, 4 o'clock. I'm on borrowed time. I probably got to wrap it up, man. It was a fun discussion. What I might do is try to get on tomorrow or Sunday if I have another window of opportunity between kid demands. But yeah, 1 hour. Kind of, I would have liked to get into the update a little more. So maybe we'll do that. Maybe we'll react to the interview and the reveal we see tonight with Eric Olofsson and Lindsay Crumette down at the event down in Australia, the tournament going on at Jesse's shop. So it'll be a fun weekend. A lot to look forward to. Thank you guys for tuning in on short notice. And again, yeah, like, subscribe, share the video, comment after it posts. And thanks always for being here and popping in and hanging out. Take care.